Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin by telling you that the Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, has revealed that the president will soon reshuffle his cabinet. Onanuga confirmed this to State House correspondents on Wednesday at the presidential villa in Abuja. He noted that, contrary to insinuations in some quarters, the current government has recorded significant achievements in its quest to transform the economy, of which members of the public are unaware. Onanuga noted that Tinubu has ordered his ministers to ensure they engage the public by publicizing what the government is doing in their various ministries.
So cabinet reshuffle, let me tell you, I don't have any timeline. The president has expressed his desire to reshuffle his cabinet, and he will do it. I don't know whether he wants to do it before October 1, but he will surely do it. So that's what I will say. He has not given us any timeline when he wants to do it, but he will do it. He has expressed his plan. He wants to do it. He wants to reshuffle. The president actually gave an order to all his ministers to go out there to speak about the activities of his government.
We will bring you more stories from Nigeria shortly, but first let's update you on the 79th United Nations General Assembly holding in New York City. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has lent his voice to calls for the reforming of the United Nations Security Council. President Akufo-Addo made this call during his address at the ongoing session in the United States.
Addressing the session today, Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo decried the treatment of Africa in the global scheme of things. He said the world must view Africa as an equal partner and not as an afterthought. President Akufo-Addo insisted that the UN Security Council, as presently constituted, is not representative of the world and does not reflect current global realities. He said the UN has failed to act decisively in times of crisis.
The structure of the Council reflects a world that no longer exists, and its failure to act in times of crisis raises a difficult question. What is the purpose of the Security Council if it cannot intervene when the world needs it most? Reforming the UN Security Council is a matter of fairness and necessity. The current structure, created in 1945, no longer reflects the realities of today's geopolitical and economic landscape. Africa, Latin America, and South Asia remain underrepresented despite their significant influence on global affairs. This lack of representation undermines the legitimacy of the Council's decisions, and the use of veto power by a few permanent members often paralyzes its ability to act effectively during crises.
Multilateralism and the respect for a global rules-based system have been the essential pillars that have supported peace, security, health, and prosperity the world over the last 80 years.
With the president of the DR Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, also lending his voice to the calls of the others who had spoken earlier, this has become a growing theme by African leaders at the ongoing 79th United Nations General Assembly.
78 years since its formation, the structure of the United Nations Security Council remains largely unchanged. Africa and its 1.4 billion people remain excluded from its key decision-making structure. This cannot continue. The UN Security Council must be reformed as a matter of agency.
The time is right for Africa to be represented at the UN Security Council. We have the numbers, we have the economies, and we have the future. The future belongs to Africa.
With other African leaders who will speak in the days ahead likely to echo the call for reform, it is becoming clear that Africa is bent on making its case. The focus would now be to see if these growing calls would materialize into firm action at the end of the 79th General Assembly. For News Central, I am Chooks Ene.
The 2024 Global Business Africa Initiative brought together influential African leaders from government, business and civil society to explore economic opportunities across the African continent. The event aims to strengthen partnerships and promote investment in Africa's diverse markets. News Centre's Chidimma Ona shares more details in this report.
For sustainable development in Africa has been a key part of major conversations among African leaders. It spurred the recent Global Business Africa initiative held in New York. In the fireside chat with Aliko Dangote, he emphasized the need to accelerate trade in Africa and enhance agricultural infrastructure.
When you talk about Africa, the biggest thing about Africa is agriculture. So now, how can we talk about agriculture being the biggest in Africa if we don't produce our own fertilizer? You know, so in the last couple of years, in sub-Saharan Africa, we had zero fertilizer production, which is urea mainly. And both ourselves, we now built 3 million tons capacity. There's also another company, Indorama. Indorama also built another 3 million tons capacity. So we're able to make Nigeria self-sufficient, and we're able to serve other African countries, and we export up to US.
We meet at a crucial time.
The Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, and Moussa Faki, chairperson of the African Union, in their speeches urged African nations to prioritize sustainable development goals, outlining a vision for unity and encouraging international partners to recognize Africa as a hub for innovation and entrepreneurship.
The first of these areas will be unlocking inclusive growth through trade. The African Continental Free Trade Area offers a framework to create the largest single market in the world. And we're going to explore how to break down the barriers, foster economic integration, and build regional value chains, ensuring that no one's left behind, especially our amazing women and youth and our marginalized communities.
From its rich and diverse cultures to its vast landscapes, and the resilience of its people, Africa's story is one of determination, progress, and unwavering hope. Africa is also a continent of economic opportunity and must claim its ambition to drive innovative solutions and contribute facing the world's most pressing challenges.
My country, Nigeria.
In his keen yet gentle speech, Nigerian economist and current serving president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, spoke on bridging several technological gaps between Africa and the world.
We need data. Without data, you don't have AI. So building that whole data ecosystem, and that's one of the things we said we'll do together, is important. Second one is just the skills, right? The skills, we need to have science, technology, engineering, mathematics, have a lot more women or girls actually going into these fields to remove another divide, which is gender-based divide in that particular area. I think that's important.
Initiatives like this that bring together influential individuals and decision makers from various sectors play a significant role in unlocking Africa's ultimate economic potential and sustainable development. In Lagos for News Central, Chidimma Ona.
Many thanks, Chidimma. We're joined now by correspondent Bernard Akede, who is on the ground in New York for further updates. Bernard, thank you for joining us. It's been a busy one for you. Quickly go ahead and give us some of the highlights of the Global Business Africa Initiative. The president of the African Development Bank talked about a youth investment bank, something in that regard, a youth entrepreneurship investment bank. And that is how to encourage young people to invest and not leave the continent. What more can you tell us?
Oh yes, it's been quite an engaging. It was quite an engaging conversation. Unfortunately, we had to leave there at some point to come to the UN building to continue the conversation from here. Now, the lineup of speakers very impressive, and the conversation itself was top-notch. Now, you did mention, yes, that, Mr. Additional talking about certain things that he wanted to, that the youth should be able to do, and that pretty much cuts across all conversations that have been had. A lot of young people did speak. Mr. Additional also, I engaged him not long after he gave that speech, and another thing he talked about was a project 300 that he mentioned, where he and some other group of people are looking to bring electricity to over 300 million people across Africa. Because knowing that if you want to bring development to any part of the world, the first thing you need to do is to power such places. And now besides that, we spoke to people like Masai Ajuri, the sports guy who talked about still engaging the youth. We talked to the president of the Africa Basketball League, who also talked about the power of youthful engagement, and almost everybody else. The CEO of Trace spoke about how youths across Africa in the entertainment industry are putting forth so much energy in music, such that African music is beginning to do better than the music in the United States, so he said. However, one thing was common that all these people said, that if the right infrastructure is not put in place, first of all, by the leaders of African countries, such that investors like them can find, a fertile breeding ground for their businesses, not much will be able to be done. So it has to be a collaboration between the government putting down, tangible, so to speak, a proper breeding ground for investors to do business, so that things can go better for African youth. And I'll cap it up with this analogy that the CEO of Trace gave. He said that last year, over $10 billion was made by young African entertainers, African artists, globally. But guess how much of that money came back to the continent? Not more than $50 million. Look at the difference. So, of course, the youth have to be properly engaged, but then the investors have to do more business, and then the government has to make a business environment conducive for them.
Bernard, one more question on gender equality. That conversation came up. I think one of the presidents talked about the fact that what you have as legal on paper is not actually what is on the ground. What more can you tell us about the conversation around gender equality?
Of course, gender equality is one of the SDGs, one of the, the components of the SDGs that almost every African president spoke about, and not just African presidents, world leaders as well. There are certain countries that have put a lot of infrastructure in place to ensure that there's gender equality and gender equity, to put that in. But truly, what we have on paper is not exactly what operates on ground. Going to the several African countries, first of all, starting with the number of governors in certain states, starting with the number of ministers in other places, also go to the number of leaders of industries, and see the gender disparity when it comes to conversations concerning gender equality and gender equity. And so, of course, this has been largely discussed around here, over the past few days. Now the time, like many of them have said, is the time for conversation is over, and the time for action is now. If women are not put into positions of power, positions of leadership, development cannot be complete. Remember again that when it comes to times of conflict, women and children are usually the ones who are most affected. And you can see that being evident in Sudan to start with. So that conversation has really been strong on the table, and it's something that I think African leaders, I hope, should I use that language, that African leaders and the rest of the world will be able to push onto the front burner. And then going forward from here, more action will be taken concerning gender equality and gender equity.
At events like this, we always hear of agreements being signed, plans being put in place. Has there been any consensus in that regard in terms of SDGs, for instance? You said the talk now is let's get away from the talk and go to action. What action plan are you noticing at this session?
I think for the session, we're still in the conversation stage. There's not been any active plan, put forward just yet. The different leaders are still coming forward to give their speeches, to give their talks. But on the first day here at the UN building, there were conversations on reparations concerning the 300 to 400 years of transatlantic slavery, and trying to see how African countries and people of African descent, largely who live out of Africa, are put in positions and are given the advantages to get back what the continent may have lost. That first day, I know that those conversations were had, but of course, it's going to span across the several days of this particular event. And so we're hoping that as the event draws to a close towards the end of the week, some of these conversations, eventually there will be some conclusions. The world leaders will be able to draw some conclusions to all these conversations. And the one that everybody will be looking at is drawing a conclusion onto getting African countries into positions of having a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. I think that has been the most hammered upon by African leaders. If that doesn't happen, then again it seems like we have only just been, talking the talk and have not walked the walk.
All right, Bernard, thank you very much for the update all the way from New York. We appreciate you. We will be telling you about the confirmation of Nigeria's new CJN. That is after the break back in Nigeria. Do stay with us. The Senate on Wednesday confirmed the appointment of Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria after screening. The development comes after President Bola Tinubu wrote the Senate on Tuesday seeking her confirmation as the CJN. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read Tinubu's letter during plenary on Tuesday. The President expressed confidence in a nomination and urged the Senate to act urgently. During the session on Wednesday, Kekere-Ekun declared that all pre-election matters must be concluded at the Court of Appeal. She also frowned against corruption in the judiciary, stating that she would not tolerate any form of it.
Put the question. Will the Senate approve the nomination for confirmation of Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun for appointment as Chief Justice of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun for appointment as Chief Justice of Nigeria is hereby approved.
I think the first thing in giving my CV, I said one of the things that I'm known for is integrity. I'm also known for being strict on discipline. And therefore, in order to ensure that the integrity of the judiciary is maintained, I will ensure that the code of conduct is fully complied with. I will ensure that there is zero tolerance for corruption.
Let's head on now to corruption matters. Justice Emeka Wite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has adjourned the alleged money laundering case filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, against the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, until October 30, 2024. The adjournment came as Bello moved to the Supreme Court to file an appeal seeking to set aside the arrest warrant issued by the trial court on April 17. At the day's proceedings, counsel to Bello, A.M. Adoyi, drew the court's attention to the fact that the issue of arraignment of the defendant was the subject matter of an appeal already entered by him at the Supreme Court. He said he would like to draw the court's attention to the appeal by virtue of the affidavit of record filed on September 23. Traders in Edo State, Benin City precisely, took to the streets to demand that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Office, EFCC, investigates the alleged diversion of a 100 million naira grant given by the former governor Adams Oshomole in 2021. Lucky Urupe, president of the Union's Welfare, who said their petition had been submitted since August 2021, stated that the traders will no longer tolerate the EFCC's lack of action on the case. A couple of weeks ago, Blackie Ogiame had denied the allegations that she received 200 million naira. She, however, admitted having received 100 million naira, which she claimed was disbursed across the 3 districts. Addressing journalists at a Kilsa market in Benin City, Ogiame stated that Oshomole's administration donated 100 million naira to the association during its end-of-year ceremony in 2013.
2021, I was here to submit petition to EFCC, and this is the copy of the acknowledgement. In 2021, they did not act on it. And EFCC said, when you see corruption, you blow whistle. Yes, sir. Even when we blow the whistle, because of the person involved, they decided not to answer us. But before we move to Abuja, EFCC office, it's very important we come to Benin office to remind them that there was a petition against Blackie Ogiame in 2013, and we submitted it in 2021 here. 100 million naira was released for Blackie Ogiame to disburse to poorest of the traders in 18 local governments of Edo State, the 3 senatorial districts. To my best of knowledge and to our research as a Traders Welfare Union, as a human rights and civil society member, our research in Edo North, nobody benefit from that 100 million. In Edo Central, they give one woman 50,000. The woman is around to testify. In Edo South, nobody benefits. So we want the EFCC to investigate how Blackie disbursed the 100 million, the process that he have used to disburse it, and how many market women benefit from the 100 million. Of recent, the governor that released the 100 million, Adasale Oshomole, he said it's not 100 million, it's 200 million. But we want, as a principal person that released the money, EFCC should invite everybody, including the human rights. We want to see the list of the people that benefit from that 100 million. This is the petition I submitted in 2021. This is the reminder. I want to say thank you, sir. You submitted a fresh petition. This one is the one we submitted in 2021. So that people acknowledge with your stamp. So this one is a fresh one. Reminder.
Let's head on now to Borno State, where delegations from the Salvation Ministries Church, Port Harcourt in Rivers State, has visited Maiduguri, the state capital, to donate food and non-food items to those affected by recent floods. State pastor of the church, who led the delegation, Duke David, used the occasion to call on the Nigerian government to integrate academic research into its policies to better tackle social issues, particularly in disaster management. News Center's Umaru Kirawa reports that the pastor emphasized that informed decisions based on research can significantly enhance the government's effectiveness in addressing the needs of the vulnerable populations.
I'm here on behalf of David Ibiyomi, the presiding pastor of Salvation Ministries. The church is based in Port Harcourt, River State. He heard about the flood disaster that happened here and tried to send relief material. So we are here today to present the relief material. As you can see, the truck behind. We are here for the relief material to give to the flood victims. I believe from research, nothing happens suddenly. For anything to happen, there are signs. Just like when rain wants to fall, you see the cloud will gather. So I believe that students that have been doing research would have come up that there's a likelihood of flood happening. So I will advise the government to pay attention to researches. So when students come up with research, don't take it for granted because nothing happens suddenly. There's always a premonition before anything happens. So my advice to the government that it should take the research seriously and things like this will be averted.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan said the outcome of last weekend governorship election in Edo State had shown that technology would not solve Nigeria's electoral challenges. Jonathan said the human mindset was key to the resolution of electoral problems, but he regretted that many Nigerians had a dirty attitude to politics. The former president canvassed attitudinal change among citizens. Jonathan made the remarks in Abuja at a program organized by the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution and partners in commemoration of the International Day of Peace. He pointed out that the struggle for power remained the major cause of conflict in Africa. To discuss this, we're joined by political analyst and former national coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots, Zari Yusuf. Zari, thanks for joining us. Straight up, do you agree with the former president that the Edo State Guba poll is proof technology cannot solve our electoral challenges?
Well, thanks for being here. Coming from former President Goodluck Jonathan, I couldn't really agree more. And from his place, he did mention something about attitude. I would say that he demonstrated something, even though he wasn't a perfect president, but he demonstrated something that gives him the moral ground to say what he said, which I agree with 100%. I was not part of, and I'm still not part of those who would celebrate simply because there is technology, there is the use of beavers and all of that. It's unfortunate that we are in a situation where the process, the system itself has been perverted. As a matter of fact, not only would I say that technology would not solve the problem, but I would say that even a free and fair election under this perverted system will not work, will never reflect the will of the masses. And that is the reason why you find crooks rigging election and telling you to go to court. When you go to court, the case won't be thrown out. You will be listened to. There will be court hearings. There will be all forms of things. But because the system has already been perverted, it's not exactly as if it has been corrupted. It's perverted. So it functions perfectly, but in a perverted form. So yes, technology is not going to solve the problem. Unfortunately, I would say he is, Goodluck Jonathan I'd say is the last president that attitude, character mattered to. From the very moment that the state was captured by the APC, frankly speaking, anything that has to do with free and fair, anything that has to do with shame, anything that has to do with honor, basically was thrown out of the window. So yes, he is right to say that.
So where does that leave us? If technology will not help, if free and fair elections will not help, what will help? Is it a change of attitude as he canvassed?
A change of attitude as he canvassed, which is something that will never, ever happen with the people in power. We are not just plagued by corrupt leaders, we are plagued by puppets who basically just dance to the tune of the people who supported them. And I think something I spotted, which is quite unfortunate, is the utterance of the U.S. envoy who would express satisfaction that the election was peaceful and would also encourage, people to follow due process in complaining against, the election, which is basically hypocritical, I'd say, because if you would congratulate one form of rigging and then, want to give people the idea that they should listen to the whole idea is not just about going to court and following process. The whole idea is about reflecting the will of the masses, which basically was not. So if this is basically the case, which is most unlikely that we would ever have any change of attitude with the APC, I'd say the power rests in the hands of Nigerians, basically, so that when the people stand and make a decision, basically the institutions themselves that should have guaranteed the will of the masses prevailing have already been, corrupted. I saw a post made by a police officer, and it's quite pathetic that they've forgotten they are professionals. They are already becoming, political, and so it's just unfortunate. I think the power rests with the masses, not with political parties, not with anybody. That at a point in time, Nigerians will stand in one voice, whether it's an election that has come or whatsoever. But
Zari, let me interject. I don't want you to lose your train of thought, but I need to follow up on you saying that it is the people that needs to stand up. How? We are in a democracy. The ways the people can express themselves is through elections, by voting. That is being usurped now, and the options seems to be limited. People are becoming tired of coming. What actions do you expect from the people that will lead to a change? If the crop of leaders we have now, you're saying possibility of change is not coming, where does that leave us then as a nation?
We know exactly what to do as Nigerians. So we are not completely out of options. That basically is what I'm going to say to you. We are not out of options. I think we had a window in the 2023 election, and we let it slip, and we are paying dearly for it. As a matter of fact, from 2015, we have been paying for it, and then from 2023, it has gone into something else. So I'd say every Nigerian basically understand what that is. We don't want to step backward. We don't want to go back to the days when the country becomes undemocratic. But we would love to come to days when the masses will actually speak with one voice, where simply because it is in our power to send people to either the Senate, to the House of Representatives, or to determine who occupies the presidency, then we do have the power to say no, when basically the country has been captained into something that we know certainly would be, a form of destruction. So yes, it may be that when it comes to election, which is the democratic process of electing a leader, we can say no to being rigged out. We can say no to people we didn't send. We can say no to people who believe they've usurped power, because I think state capture is not exactly democratic. Basically manipulating the whole structure in the country to favor what you want to do or to suppress people is not exactly democratic. And the people will not be out of place to reject that. So yes, I would say again, Nigerians know what to do, basically. So we are not out of options. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, I'll take your word for it for today. Thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Well, it seems our woes continues because ASUU is threatening fresh strike for 14 days. Stay with us. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has issued a 14-day strike warning ultimatum to the federal government to resolve some lingering issues dating as far back as 2009. ASUU President Emmanuel Osadike, in a statement issued on Wednesday, said the body is seeking the conclusion of the renegotiation of the 2009 federal government ASUU agreement based on the Nimi-Briggs Committee's draft agreement of 2021. It also demanded the release of withheld salaries due to the 2022 strike and expressed frustration with the government's lack of commitment and delay tactics. It stated that these actions were generating a crisis in the public university system. Celebrating 50 years as a broadcast journalist, veteran journalist Jones Use, popularly referred to as Citizen Jones, has charged young Nigerian journalists to prioritize professionalism in their work. At a ceremony marking his milestone, surrounded by family, friends and colleagues, Jones emphasized the importance of maintaining the values and objectives of journalism as the fourth estate of the realm. While speaking with newsmen, he tasked the new generation of journalists to continue to learn, unlearn and relearn, back claims with facts, and continue to up their skills in order to preserve the professionalism of journalism in Nigeria. As Nigeria's journalism industry continues to evolve, the veteran journalist's words of wisdom serve as a timely reminder of the crucial role journalists play in shaping public discourse and holding those in power accountable.
Not very many of them are open to new ideas. If you begin to talk about those good old days, they think you are old school. The teaching element is missing largely from the business today, and the now generation must do something about it. In our time, we used to have a presentation meeting. A presentation meeting was when you reviewed the outgone week and project into the coming week. So mistakes of the outgone week were addressed. But today, I don't know who is watching, who is listening. I don't know. Broadcast managers appear to me to be looking the other way while anything is going on in the name of broadcasting.
The profession is also changing in a lot of ways. If you look at CNN, for example, and you compare it to, I don't want to call a name, but the very old TV station we've had in the world, you will see the difference. Now, journalism or broadcasting is not just you telling us what has happened. Today, you tell what is happening. It's in the present now. That's why you have the social media and every other platform, the new media and the rest of that. So every profession have its own unique interferences. Disruptions happen.
Let's join our business team for today's business stories.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, August 2024 saw the average fare for air passengers surge to 123,700 naira 14 kobo, representing a 25.51% increase from 98,560 naira 28 kobo in July. The Nigeria Bureau of Statistics reported a significant year-on-year rise of 56.56% from 79,011 naira 38 kobo in August of the previous year, making air travel more costly for commuters. Conversely, city bus fares dropped to 869.35 kobo, a 7.77% decrease from July, and a 34.95% decline from 1,336 naira 38 kobo in August 2023, likely due to easing inflation. Intercity bus fares slightly increased by 0.59% to 7,159 naira, reflecting a 20.97% annual rise. Motorcycle fares rose to 524 naira 22 kobo, while waterway transport fares increased to 1,449 naira 34 kobo. Overall, rising air and intercity transport costs indicate ongoing inflationary pressures on long-distance travel. And still in West Africa, recent data from the Ghana Statistical Service reveals a significant decline in cocoa bean export value for the second quarter of 2024. Exports dropped from 1.57 billion Ghanaian cedis in the second quarter of 2023 to 1.15 billion Ghanaian cedis in Q2 2024, a 26.9% decrease, marking the fifth consecutive quarterly decline. In Q1 2024, the export value also fell by 24.7% compared to the previous year, with an alarming 80% drop between Q1 and Q2, translating to a 4 billion Ghanaian cedi reduction. This decline is attributed to a challenging production season, with Ghana producing only about 429,323 metric tons by June 2024, less than 55% of previous averages. Additionally, smuggling and low local prices have exacerbated the situation, prompting Cocoa Board to raise the farm gate price by 45% for the upcoming season. And that's a package on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Up next is sports.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome. This is Sports News. Defending NPFL champions Enugu Rangers beat host Ikorodu City 1-0 in a rescheduled Matchday 2 encounter played at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos. Rangers' winning goal was scored by Chinemere Muguzwe, who hit the target on the 25th minute mark. Speaking after the game, Rangers coach Fidelis Ilechukwu revealed that the win was a morale booster for his team after their elimination from the CAF Champions League over the weekend and would serve them in good stead in their blockbuster clash away against current league leaders and last season's runners-up Remo Stars this weekend in Ikene. Super Eagles winger and non-star Moses Simon was recognized by French Ligue 1 on Tuesday after reaching a significant career milestone. A key member of the Super Eagles for almost a decade, the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations silver medalist is regarded as one of the most decisive players in the French top division. He reached a milestone of 150 matches in the French Ligue 1 during Nantes' 1-1 draw with Angers SCO at the weekend. The Ligue 1 official X account marked the occasion, celebrating Simon's contributions with a post. In his 150 appearances, the 29-year-old winger has racked up 27 goals and 29 assists. Simon's achievement places him fifth among Nigerian players with the most League 1 appearances, trailing only John Otaka with 239 games, Wilson Oruma with 196 games, Taye Taiwo with 191 games, and Victor Ekpeba with 170 games. Real Madrid forward Kylian Mbappe faces a spell on the sidelines due to a thigh injury. The France international, who joined the Spanish club in the summer after his contract expired with Paris Saint-Germain, scored in a 3-2 win against Deportivo Alaves on Tuesday before being substituted after 80 minutes. In an official statement released earlier today, Real Madrid revealed that, following tests, the 25-year-old has been diagnosed with an injury to the biceps femoris in his left leg and his progress will be monitored. Real Madrid are away in a league match at Atletico Madrid on Sunday and then play Lille in the Champions League and Villarreal in the Spanish top flight prior to the October international break. Mbappe had scored 6 goals in 7 games for the Bernabeu club before sustaining his injury. Naomi Osaka says she is at a stage in life where she does not want to have regrets after hiring Patrick Borotoglu as her new coach. Japan's Osaka beat Italy's Lucia Bronzetti 6-3-6-2 at the China Open in her first match with Borotoglu, formerly the longtime coach of Serena Williams, in her corner. The 26-year-old splits with Wim Fissette, who she won 2 of her 4 Grand Slam titles with earlier in September. Osaka said she was initially hesitant about working with Borotoglu, but is happy with her decision to partner with the successful Borotoglu. Osaka is next in action against 21st seed Yulia Putniseva in the second round in Beijing. For New Central Television, Okpeoluwa Adebari.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow. Unlimited.
Tonight on Entertainment News, Sony Music Entertainment and Crooks Global have announced a strategic partnership to boost Ghana's music industry by offering comprehensive support for artists at various career stages. The partnership features 3 tiers: distribution through Sony's The Orchard, offering independent artists global distribution resources; full service, providing select artists with production, marketing and distribution through Sony Music Africa; and catalog music, preserving the works of renowned Ghanaian artists on digital platforms. Crooks Global, a leading Ghanaian-owned music company, has been instrumental in elevating the local music scene with notable successes such as the release of Sugarcane Remix, which garnered massive global attention. This partnership aims to provide unparalleled opportunity for both emerging and established Ghanaian artists, further expanding their reach and promoting Ghana's rich musical heritage. Hip-hop artist Fatman Scoop, born Isaac Freeman III, tragically passed away after collapsing on stage during a performance in Hamden, Connecticut on August 30th. The Connecticut Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that the 53-year-old died from hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Scoop, known for his booming voice and infectious energy, was rushed to the hospital after the incident, but sadly did not survive. His family later shared their grief, calling him a radiant soul and a beacon on stage and in life. Fatman Scoop rose to fame in the early 2000s with his hit Be Faithful, which topped charts across Europe. His iconic voice was featured on several tracks by major artists including Missy Elliott's Grammy-winning Lose Control and Mariah Carey's It's Like That. His contributions to club hits and collaborations with Ciara, Timbaland and David Guetta cemented his place in hip-hop and dance music industry. Beyond his musical career, Scoop appeared on UK television shows like Chancers and Celebrity Big Brother 16 UK vs USA. Though the world knew him as the voice of the club, his family remembered him as the laughter in their lives and a source of unwavering strength. They praised his ability to spread joy through his music and his generosity towards others. While his infectious presence on stage will be missed, his legacy in both music and the hearts of his loved ones will endure. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment News in association with Glow Unlimited.
That's all we have for you tonight, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu is set to reshuffle his cabinet. Former Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello has headed to Supreme Court over alleged money laundering. ASU has threatened fresh strike, issued 14-day ultimatum to federal government. And we also brought you news that Ghana, DR Congo presidents have joined calls for Security Council reforms at the United Nations General Assembly. Do follow us on social media at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. Have a good night.